All right, let's get started. Thank you everyone for joining today's Buddhability on overcoming negative self-talk. The Buddhability series is for those curious to get to know more about the Buddhist community. I'm Jenny. I'll be moderating our community talk alongside our incredible panelists, Janice, Kinjo, and Josh Scobey. So yes, we're so incredibly excited to be here together with you guys all today. As you know, Buddhability is connected to a grassroots Buddhist community called the SGI. We have thousands of local groups throughout the country. And if you're brand new to Buddhism, our practice is a form of Nichiren Buddhism. And every day we chant Nam-myoho Renge Kyo to tap into our inner Buddhability or inner enlightenment, which is this amazing potential that we all inherently have. So for today's talk, we're centering around overcoming negative self-talk. And negative self-talk is that inner voice that tends to fuel our doubts or worries or fears, even those feelings of defeat. It's that voice that either ruminates or grows, ultimately furthering our inner disbelief that things can change or that we can change to feel better or happier. So Buddhism teaches the reality of our life. And really what that means is it teaches us that we all have a Buddha nature. So simply put, this philosophy uncovers our inherent human nature. And negative self-talk and external negative circumstances can often cause us to feel stuck or ignorant to the reality of our life. And I was recently reading some work by Martin Seligman, who is a well-known positive psychologist and the author of Learned Optimism. And he discovered that when people feel that they have no control over their situation, the first thing they do is give up. Rather than challenging those thoughts or reactions to adversity in a new way. So this aspect of psychology fundamentally echoes the Buddhist perspective. And we chant Nam-myoho Renge Kyo as our foundational daily practice to support and challenge and open up our inherent ability to bring out our Buddha nature every day. So what you're going to hear today from our panelists is how they use Nichiren Buddhist philosophy and their daily practice to challenge these thoughts and live uniquely extraordinary lives. And furthermore, we're going to have some time for Q&A. So if you're interested and you want to pose some questions, feel free to put them in the chat. Please feel free to also tag us at Buddhability and share more. So I would love to kind of get us started and introduce myself a little bit. So my name is Jenny Cook. I grew up in the Midwest. I currently live in the wonderful city of Chicago. I grew up Buddhist, but I actually started practicing, independently after a pretty difficult car accident. And currently I'm a behavior specialist in the city of Chicago. I work with students with many diverse needs and backgrounds, but I specialize in social and emotional support in backgrounds of trauma. And it's really crazy, but in the realm of my, educational experience at every school over the last 8 years I've worked at, there's always this theme around kindness or joy. But when things get busy or priorities in the school system shift towards data or results or high test scores, kindness and joy are not at the forefront of our students' minds, nor are they at the systems and policies in place. And, for many years, I caught myself feeling burnt out around these words, kindness and joy, because they lost their meaning. And one of the things that I realized is over the course of time, it's easy for myself to also forget that feeling of being kind or feeling joyful in my own self or my own being. And the alternative, because I feel like I'm continuously battling these systems that perpetuate systemic racist, definitions and practices within our school, I feel like this negative self-talk started to come out even more, really around this place of, can I even make a change? Am I good enough, smart enough, distinguished enough to actually create a change in my environment? Or having the ability to actually have the endurance to keep fighting, right? So that little voice starts to ruminate. So for me, negative self-talk has really become kind of like this shadow. And in many ways, it's always induced by my environment. And it becomes this excuse for me to kind of stay in a lane or accept defeat when things get too hard to navigate. But the difference for me is, as a practitioner of this Buddhism, I've been able to really not necessarily overcome it, but have the kind of stamina, life endurance, life force to be able to keep finding the conviction to keep challenging these things and really keep challenging the little voices that tell me you can't do this. So for me, the ability to chant wakes up something deeper inside of me, and it allows this little voice to become even smaller and smaller and smaller instead of growing bigger and bigger and bigger, because problems are always there. So I think one of the things that's been really helpful is for me to have my Buddhist community that helps me foster more humanistic values. And it allows me to really refresh my own outlook on things instead of being bogged down by the things that I think in my own head or the things that I'm told by society. So that's just a little bit about me. And I feel so incredibly honored to be here today. And I would love to be able to just like open it up and share a little bit about our wonderful, incredible panelists. So I'm going to go ahead and open it up with Janice. Janice Kinjo is incredible. She grew up in California. She also grew up in with Buddhist practice and philosophy, and it's an integral part of how she nurtures her own artistic confidence as a celebrity makeup artist who specializes in melanin-rich skin tones. You might know Janice. She's been an incredible makeup artist for wonderful celebrities such as Mindy Kaling, Idris Elba, Mary J. Blige, and so many more. What's amazing is Janice is bi-coastal. She's all over in many places all at once, and she's currently in Toronto right now. And she's a makeup artist for a new Netflix movie that's going to be coming out soon. So Janice, I'm going to pass it over to you. Please share about your life, please. Thank you.
Jenny, thank you so much. Buddhability and all of you guys, I'm so happy and honored to be here and just share my thoughts, my life, and my experience with you guys. And overcoming negative self-talk has been, as an artist, I've been doing makeup for about 16 years now. And it's been literally, just as Jenny said, like a shadow of mine. It's always like, that eyeliner needs to be bolder, it needs to be more winged, it needs to be, that's too much mascara, that's too much, like, it's like this constant, chatter in my brain when I look at a monitor or something, and it's like I can do something better, and never accepting the present moment, and I think that's what, as an artist, I'm very, very critical on, as far as like really like being able to appreciate the moment right here, right now, and being present, and not being like, okay, but so I got to do this. Oh my God, my call time tomorrow is 2 a.m. Like, it's always like, it's so much always happening at all hours of the time. And in my life, and traveling back and forth is, it's very overwhelming. And in under these circumstances, how do I not get bogged down by, not only is it my own self-talk, but then now there's this aspect of social media, right? Where everything is publicized, everything is like, in like up in front and center on everybody's personal devices, right? And you're just like, oh my goodness, like so much negative hate and talk, and just so much coming at you. Like, how do I not become so overcome and overwhelmed by all this negativity around? And I think for me, just as Jenny was saying too, has been my Buddhist practice. I do chant Nam-myoho Renge Kyo morning and evening, and in the morning I really set out as a prayer of mine, and you can call it an affirmation, you can call it a determination or goal, but I really, my one line that I really always tell myself is to be the Buddha on set. So what does that mean, right? What does being a Buddha on set mean? That means to be flexible. That means to be whatever you need to be that day. So not only is it to be a makeup artist and make people look glamorous and beautiful, or whatever character that they're playing in, but also to help them. What do they need? Do they like just to be there for them, be a human being, just be, and if it needs, like they're by themselves and they need like, you're going to be an assistant sometimes and do their makeup, and so it's this idea of just being flexible, but also like do it like as I am. And I think that's something that like I've really have been true to, is like, come as I am. Like I am not perfect. I have so many problems. There's so many things that are always happening in my life, be it professional or personal, but let that sort of not sway me from the present moment and take away from like appreciating all that is happening in my life. And I think also with social media, it's very easy to be like, oh, this person is working with my client, or oh, I should have done that job, and like all of this, again, negative chatter, in my own mind, right? That is easy to really be swayed. But my Buddhist practice brings me back to be like, what, it's not about comparing myself to other people and what they are doing, but comparing myself to myself, right? What can I do in this moment for myself to really create the most value, right? And I think that is probably for me the most challenging thing to do. And so there's never like, oh, I'm so successful because I've worked with A, B, C, and D people. It's never like that. It's constantly a battle of like, what can I do better? How can I do this better? And like, what is the best answer to creating victory right here and right now? Not tomorrow, not yesterday, and not like ruminating, in like, oh, should have, would have, could have, but like right here, right now. And I feel that, this competition, in this industry is not with others, but it's really with myself. So, yeah.
Wow, Janice, I love that you even like coined this term, like being a Buddha on set, but I love that you like broke it down and you really said it's just about being a human being. But the thing that you like elaborated on and further went into was that it's about being flexible in your most authentic way, right? I think that is so profound. And I love that you also shared that it's like being able to like bring me back to my most authentic self, because that's so hard. And I have a question, right? Like, I'm sure in the world of celebrity makeup, it is super competitive and it is really critical. And I'm sure that, you probably hear a lot of like negative self-talk from the people around you, but how that transfers to you. So I'm curious, like, when we're here saying like, can you actually overcome negative self-talk? Like, I'm so curious what that means to you. Like, do you believe we can overcome it? What is that?
I think overcoming negative self-talk will never happen. For me personally, I think there's, again, that chatter in my mind. I think, as you said, Jenny, like, it's not so much like overcoming, oh, it's been done, I done did that, I'm on to the next problem. It's more about like, really like tuning down that negative self-talk, right? It's not so loud in your brain, it's not so like the main character in your mind, it's more about like, what, they're like the background, chatter, background people, that you're just like, okay, I understand that they're there, but I'm not going to give it that much light, so I don't know if overcoming is really a thing for me personally as an artist, because again, I'm always trying to be better. What's new? What's the thing now? There's so many. It's always constantly in flux in the beauty industry. But I think it's more so about like really, again, focusing on myself, and be in that. And what does it mean to create value in my life at this moment, and not yesterday and not tomorrow, but like in this present moment, what that means to me. And so I think, the chatter will always be there, but I choose to tune it down.
I love that. I love that it's always going to be there, but you have this ability or this kind of like control to like dictate whether you want that to be something that affects you or not. And I love that you said create value, because I want to create even more value through this wonderful community talk here. And I want to bring our incredible Josh Scobey into this. Josh grew up in Oklahoma. He grew up Buddhist. He was drafted by the Arizona Cardinals in 2002. He's a well-known NFL running back and kick returner. Josh, you played in the Super Bowl 40 on the Seattle Seahawks. You were captain of the team. You played on the Buffalo Bills. And currently, you are a scout for the Arizona Cardinals. And I want you to bring all your wisdom and share with us too, like when we're hearing this aspect of like overcoming negative self-talk, like I got to hear your wisdom. Like what else do we do?
Well, like you guys were speaking on, it's just, it's really difficult in this day and time to just, totally act like you can just put the blinders on and you don't have, this self-doubt or hear negativity. coming up, obviously my mom was got introduced into this practice, and single mother, struggling financially, trying to find her way in life. And, those things, seeing her work hard every day to provide for me and my siblings, and, to give us a place to lay our heads and to be the best version of ourselves, she gave me a lot of motivation. And, through the practice, I was able to, find wisdom and clarity as a youngster. Again, I didn't understand to what extent this practice meant and how I could use it. But again, growing up under those circumstances and trying to be something in life as a young kid, there's always negativity. There's always those kids that tell you, you can't do this, you ain't going to be this, you aren't that. And it consistently happens to this day. I think that's the type of society that we live in. We live in a negative society. And I think when we wake up every day, I think that's the wonderful thing about this practice and this philosophy is it gives us a chance to do our human revolution. And when I say that, that means transform our life into a positive light and find, like you guys talked about, that value, finding the creative value. And, as coming up, I've been told, you can't make it in the pros, you can't go to college, you can't be those things. It's just, it can't happen. And I think through that negative opinions of people, and then again, when you start to hear a lot of those things, that self-doubt creeps into your mind, I think. And I think the biggest thing is my mom told me is to always believe in yourself, always believe into your potential. We all have an unbelievable amount of potential that we just never tap into. And I think this practice has allowed us, me, you, Janice, to tap into that potential that we have as human beings, nothing else. I think being the best version of ourselves gives us the opportunity to be the happiest we can be. And I think that's what this practice has done. It's been a navigation to me of life. We consistently are overcoming these negative things, thoughts, criticism, but just really to consistently believe in yourself, I think. And I think believing in ourselves through our prayer, I think is the key to our faith, And so, I'm just excited to be able to just be here today. And I love to be able to dialogue and talk to people about this philosophy that's given me everything in life beyond my imagination. I started practicing at a very, very young age, and I'm going on. I'm old. I'm not going to tell you my age, but I'm still young in spirit. But I've been practicing, pretty much my entire life, over 37 years, and it consistently things creep up, things come up. I like to call myself in this moment battle tested because those they come every day. Every day our feet hit the ground when we get out of bed. There's a new challenge in life. And I think a lot of times people just don't want to face that. And I think that's what we consistently talk about in this philosophy and practice is that confront your problems, face to face, fight them. In life, you win or lose. In this practice, you win or lose. And I'm a winner. And I look at life from that standpoint. And regardless of what others may think and may have the opinion of me, I consistently know I have a tool in my life where I can become the best version of myself every single day. And that is why we call this a practice, because we practice on being the best version of ourselves on a day-to-day accordance. Like you talked about, nobody's perfect. We talk about life conditioning, and that is based on pretty much how we see things and how we're feeling and where we're at. But I always practice on being the best person I can be on a day-to-day. And this is what allows me to do that, because obstacles, negativity, challenges, they're lined up at the door waiting. So I most definitely want to encourage that. Believe in yourself, because we all have an unbelievable amount of potential that gives us everything we need to be successful and happy in life.
I love that you shared that, like, battle tested, right? And like, so in relation to our unlimited potential. I was wondering, Josh, if you could share maybe part of your experience or like some of your experience of like when you're on that front line of the Super Bowl, right? And like all of the thoughts that are going through your head, and knowing that you're the one that's like literally kicking it off. Like, yeah. What was going through your head? Like, how do you overcome that?
Yeah. I think in life, when we're passionate about something, I think we give it the extra. And I think, going through my playing career, and I had some great moments and great times, obviously the Super Bowl being the pinnacle. But yes, in that sense, and we could talk about years of battles and all that, but just in that setting, playing and having an opportunity to play in Super Bowl 40 and be a participant and obviously be the first person to touch the ball was very much so a battle from within myself. And we have these self battles day to day, and that is what comes into play with the negativity of not believing. And going into the game, obviously I'm a kick returner. I know that when there's a coin toss, somebody has to get the ball first. And, I'm the kick returner, so I'm thinking, oh man, there's millions of people watching this, everybody around the world. And I want to get the first kickoff because I want to break the ceiling and I want to run for a touchdown and I want to be, talked about in a positive way in every way. And I want to be the impact player of the game. And then there's that other self-doubt saying, well, wait a minute, you don't want to get the first kickoff because you could drop it. You could fumble it. You could do something that could cause your team debt. So that's how, that's how easy it is to succumb to self-doubt and negativity. All in the moment of saying, hey, I can be praised or I could be looked at in a negative way. And so dealing with that, I just really, really focused on my prayer. And I focused on, saying, you know what, you're here for a reason. Everything happens in life for a reason. Nothing happens that's not supposed to happen in our lives. And, being there in that moment as I prayed, chanting, Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, to have the courage and have the confidence to say, you know what, I'm going to have to put on this hater-proof suit because the haters are waiting for me to drop that ball. More people so than the ones that are saying, I want them to take it all the way back to the end for a touchdown. But I prayed that I would be protected no matter what. And whatever happened, whether if I got the ball first or what, that I was going to be a bodhisattva. We talk about being a bodhisattva, really doing things in the bodhisattva way, doing things in the Buddhist way. And when I say that, that means allow your Buddhist nature to take action, allow your Buddhist nature to speak for you. And when I say in that sense to understand, it means allow you the wisdom to understand how to move forward. And we got out there that coin toss and that we won the coin toss and my heart almost came out of my pads. And I kept my composure because I said, this is the moment for you. This has been everything that you've worked for your entire life. And these are all the things that you had to overcome, whether if it was not being a qualifier at a high school academically because I didn't take care of responsibility and have to go to junior college and then earn my AA degree and then go to Kansas State and then get to Kansas State and deal with, playing time and obviously have to deal with keeping up with school as well, staying, academic wise. And then obviously all of those things encompassed in one moment, just flashed in my life. And I was like, Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. And that ball came and it was like everything became still, everything. And I just watched that ball come. I got it. I ran. It was an average kick, average return, but it was for that moment. Everything in life that I had it seemed like I had worked for was for that particular moment and I was ready for it. And I think just through having the faith and believing in myself and not allowing self-doubt or haters, make me succumb to the criticism. And so that was a really moment that obviously I understood how powerful this was in my life, just being there in that moment and understanding and knowing that I had been through so much and knowing that this right here was for me in the time. And I think timing is everything in life. And I think a lot of times we look at situations that may occur in our life and it's not ideal, but we think it's, not right for us. But truly, when we have faith, I think you may not be able to see it in the moment, but I think down the line, most definitely you will feel it, and you will understand that things happen in your life for a reason.
That's incredible. Like, I think it's just the magnitude of pressure that, like, I think all of us can relate to, is that we put so much pressure on ourselves, right? And then we
Absolutely.
leave it to this like crucial moment. And I think what's fascinating is, like, even if that crucial moment is, you know, a loss or average or great, the fact is like we overcame something even more, because like you said, it's like hater proof. And I think one of the things that we talk about with negative self-talk is it's not always external, right? It is internal. Like, we can be the worst critics for ourselves.
Absolutely.
So it's so fascinating. I am so curious, both, you know, Janice and Josh, like, in your realms of what you're doing, the pressure is real. Like, you're called to be on at all times, even as a teacher, like in front of the classroom, like, I got to be on. But I'm so curious too, like, how does, you know, tapping into, you know, this Buddhability, or tapping into like our inherent potential, our unlimited potential, like, manifest? Like, how does it actually manifest for all of us in our different environments? And I would love to hear how you guys feel, like, how do you bring it out at that crucial moment?
Go ahead, Janice.
Man, you know, for me, I again, like, every moment is a crucial moment, you know, because it's not only just seen by me, but like by so many people's eyes, whether it's on a TV show, whether it's on like the red carpet, whether it's on, you know, that it's the crucial moment is really all, like my entire career, you know. But I think, you know, if anything, it's like Josh, like what you were saying, like, it's really believing in yourself, you know, and not let all that negativity and the chatter and the external voices like really getting to you and taking you away from that moment. It's fighting that. And I think what my practice has helped me to do is fight back, you know, be like, you're not going to be louder than my voice and my Buddhability and my potential here, you know. So I think it's really been like to be able to have that confidence to like, you know what, this is a huge moment right now. This is a lot going on. This is a lot of pressure and it's a lot of competition, but to have that courage and the confidence and the dignity to fight back and really just be like, you know what, you are not going to win this, you know. I will have the last say. I'm going to win this, and I'm going to do it in the way that I want to do it. Is I think what my Buddhist practice has really kept me going at this pace all the time, you know, is like, get up and do it every single day, you know.
Yes.
And I think it's to push back when they're pushing harder, you know. And it's just enabled me just to deepen my life force, my life potential, and the belief in myself just becomes that much more strengthened because of it. I don't know, Josh, Jenny, what about you? Jenny, I want to hear about you as a teacher, you know. How do you really combat those negative voices and that and those devilish functions, especially with students and administration and, you know, and all that?
Yeah, I think it's so fascinating. I think for a long time, like, being, you know, a young woman, being biracial, like, I always felt this need to just kind of like keep quiet, but I had all these thoughts like going through my head. And I used to think that like the only way I can battle this is if I show actual proof somehow, like that has to happen in the classroom. And what happened for me is I feel like the more that I started to trust that I have value, the more that I was able to actually create these like really wonderful relationships with my students, so that I could actually value who they are, not just value the things that I, you know, was told by administration or by the school's philosophy, like, this is what we value. And I think it was really breaking out of this mindset of being told what it means to actually care about somebody, but like authentically being my own self allowed me to want to be able to create these kinds of relationships with students, to authentically care about them. And I think the thing that I battle is making sure that I don't become another person in a position of like power or authority as a teacher, knowing that you have the full control of the classroom, or that's your desire, but ensuring that every single person is an equitable player in that. And the thing that helps me with my Buddhist practice is that's the foundational aspect of this philosophy. There's nowhere else that I've read where it's like teaches you what it means to be equitable, what it actually means to value your own unique identity. And I think the more that I experienced that kind of internal growth, it allowed me to really like foster that within my classroom, so that every time that negative voice comes in, whether it's induced by our environment or internally, like, I feel like I can connect with my students to be like, we don't have to be controlled by all of the chatter. I think someone said that earlier, by all the chatter around us. We can feel like hater proof, but it's not at the extent or, you know, putting somebody else down to do that. And I think that that's what's so incredibly like profound about our practice, is that it allows us to really understand what it means to be authentically unique in your own identity, and realize that at the core of it, we all share the same shared humanity. And I think that's like, that's what I wish, and that's what I want to bring forth every single day. And that's honestly like, that's why chanting helps, because that's literally like what Nam-myoho Renge Kyo means, is to be able to bring forth your greatest Buddhahood, right? Or our unlimited potential. So, but yeah, Josh, please tag team. Yeah.
That's awesome. No, you hit on a lot of key points. I've always kind of been told that, in the sports world, you talk about pressure, and it's obviously a key word that's frequently thrown around, but the same to it is, pressure either makes diamonds or it busts pipes. And, I've always been a guy of actual proof, and being able to understand pressure. We can all say, oh, well, it doesn't bother me, or I'm built for it, or whatever. But when pressure comes, we kind of go into a different place, and we start searching for, ways to get ourselves out, or overcome one of the two. Our better self or our lesser self. It's a consistent battle as well. But I don't worry about pressure, because I think in life, again, things are going to happen the way they do. What I just try to do is try to be an example of this practice, being living proof. That's one thing my mom always told me, is that, you have to continually humble yourself. You have to continually share yourself with experience in your life. I remember, like, when I had first got into the NFL, and my mom, again, as a young 22-year-old, you're young, you're prideful, you have a big ego, you have all these other things going in your life that fuels you from really a negative place. But she always used to say, always, the key to this practice is creating self-value and happiness, but create it for others. And, I can't remember, it was a situation, maybe somebody wanted to talk to me or something or whatever, I can't remember, but, she was adamant. She was like, hey, talk to that person, give that person an autograph, or whatever it may be, make that person's day, because this is a part of your mission as well. Not because you to have stardom and to have these things and all these, these sparkle things that you want, and you think that's, success. But your success is based on how you repay your debit of gratitude. And I was like, she was saying these things to me at a young age, and I was like, I could process it, but I couldn't internalize. I didn't understand to that depth, but now I do. Talking about practicing for self and others, we all on this panel have a unique platform in what we do on a day-to-day basis on how we impact people's lives. Whether if it's you in the classroom, giving a kid some type of hope, positivity, whether if it's Janice giving a movie star, their best look, whether if it's me now finding that cornerstone piece that's going to help us win a championship. But we all are connected to people in a way that we have to set an example based on who we are and based on obviously our practice, because that is, how we become who we become. And so, pressure doesn't bother me when I'm actually doing my human revolution. And human revolution, again, so people can understand, it means a transformation of our life in the best way and being the best person we can be. So I'm always trying to share this practice. I'm always trying. I didn't do it as much as my mother. She was kind of to a point where she would do it and I felt uncomfortable as she did it. But at the same time, that was just her spirit. That was her. That was just how she felt and her passion. But I think when we as people, beyond what we do or what we make or whatever it may be, what brings status, I think us helping people on a day-to-day get to that point where they can be the best, happiest, and find that potential. I think that's the most unique piece.
Yeah, I love that. So I know we have about 10 minutes left, and our incredible audience has been sharing so many wonderful questions. But one of the questions that was asked, I want to be able to share with you guys and see your own thoughts or feelings behind it. But it says, I feel that I have not achieved anything in life, and I'm old enough to not dream anymore. I just started chanting last year. I chant every day, but this negative self-talk is really hard to just shut off. Any advice? Amazing, right? I just threw a hard question out there.
Wow. I think for me, it really came down to appreciation, for me. And because I think there's so many times where, I've had really lull moments in my career, and it's very up and down. But when I step back and really appreciate, even if it's not career-wise, with my family, all the things that I've been able to overcome with my very traditional family, who was very against me being a makeup artist for years and years of my early beginnings of my career, that been able to overcome their negative, being against my career choice, to now they really appreciating, loving, and almost just being so proud of where I am now in my career. Even though it's not just that in of itself, that I felt like I've been able to overcome so much, whether it's with my career and it's with family and all that, it helps me to appreciate so much more, So I think for me, when I take a moment to really appreciate in those very lull moments and what I feel negative about my life, take a moment and write down what is great and what is not great, and you will see how much there's so much more greater on your list than not great. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I think if anything, that's what I would say. My little advice is to just take a moment to appreciate everything.
Wow. Love that.
Yeah, I agree with Janice. I think understanding the moment and appreciating it. I think a lot of times we fast forward and we want to see things that we envision that's ideal and that what we think is ready and right for us. And I just want to share this real quick, be fast. When I got out of ball and I retired and I wanted to get into scouting, there was some very difficult, challenges that I had to overcome based on just getting an opportunity. And, I thought I was going to get an opportunity with Seattle. And I had interviewed with them and I had a great interview, and I thought I had a great interview. I was the best dressed. I had everything going, and I did not get that opportunity. And I basically was shattered, and not getting that opportunity with them because I had the most success with them. I kind of felt like, I let myself down, or maybe something wasn't working. But what I think you have to do as practitioners, again, appreciate the moment, appreciate what's in front of us. But at the same time, I was able to attend Rock the Arrow. it was a convention, a youth convention that we had for those that don't know what Rock the Era is. Went to Rock the Era and exhausted myself in every single way I could. And when I got back home, there was a call from the Arizona Cardinals. The rest is history, obviously. But continually to do our human revolution and to continue to appreciate the moment, I think is most definitely key.
Wow. Yeah, I really agree. I think appreciation is so almost like underestimated when we're in the midst of a struggle or something. But like if we can find it in our ability to appreciate even that obstacle or that struggle, that does open up something else in us to be able to combat the negative self-talk or combat that. And I think even speaking to this question, like the thought of not being too old to dream anymore, I think that's so real. Like so many of us feel that way, like, oh, you know, I'm too old to go to school, or I'm too old to try this. And I think, you know, what's so incredible is in this practice, like when we chant, we feel youthful. And when we're youthful, we feel hopeful, right? So I encourage, you know, whoever, you know, with this wonderful question, in order to shed off that negative self, that really like getting rid of that negative, like that self skin, I think it really does come to this place of you like have to be able to continuously, consistently chant, because you start to like break down those barriers that I think, you know, that we've built up so long, but we break those down so that we can see that there is something greater inside of us that gives us this youthful spirit to start dreaming again. And I also think too, like, I'm sure, you know, just my own personal experience, I look at my mom and, you know, when she came over here from America, like she really had to start working, right? Like she didn't have like a college background. She didn't have this. She started working, and she often felt like, I'm too old now to go to do this. I'm too old to try this. But she started using her practice to really just create value wherever she was. And that more that like we do that, I think that lesson, the more that we try to create value wherever we are, things open up. So it allows us to create new goals or new, like Janice, I think you said, new determinations. So yeah, I just feel like we can live in a place where it's like, oh, this is just never going to work. But when we chant, it is just like Josh, like what you expressed, we're like tapping into something that shatters that perspective about ourselves. And I think that's just the most profound thing, is that there is something that shatters that perspective. So we don't continue to ruminate, right? Like we can try something new. So yeah.
Can I just say this,
Yeah.
Jennifer, again, because that is, you know, she has an amazing question, but, you know, prayer destroys all fears.
Wow.
And when I say chanting Nam Myoho Renge Kyo is what is meant of entering a palace of oneself. To that question, to that person, continue to polish your life. And I think you will see the results that you need to see.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah, I love it. Oh my gosh. Janice, Josh, thank you so much for just like being here, sharing from your heart, sharing your incredible experiences. Thank you everyone for joining our Buddhability talk today. Before you go, if you found any value in this conversation and the experiences that were shared, definitely, you know, please feel free to visit our Buddhability website, which is bootability.org, to learn more. Sign up for our weekly newsletters. You'll get some wonderful encouragement and straight to your inbox. And again, Buddhability is a real community where Buddhists gather, and right now virtually, obviously, you know, in their local neighborhoods. And it's a space with no formality or judgment, just like kind of what you saw here today. And where we can apply our Buddhist teachings to our real lives and our real experiences. And it's also a place where you can ask questions and share your impressions and just listen and soak it in. It's definitely completely up to you. So if you'd like to, you know, connect and learn more about this practice or this Buddhism, you can go to connect@sgi-usa.org, and we'll let you know about more virtual gatherings in your area. But Janice, Josh, I have a million thank yous. Thank you to everybody that was here today. Thank you all for such a wonderful Buddhability community talk.
Thank you, Jenny. Thank you, Josh. Thank you, Buddhability, and everyone else. Thank you for joining.
Thank you so much.
See y'all.
Let's
Bye.
win. Let's win. Let's
Yes.
win.